In this video, we are going to take the Titanic dataset, which is basically a publicly available dataset, and visualize it using various techniques here. So, what do you want to know about Titanic data? Titanic is a ship which was on its maiden voyage in 1912. It was considered as something which is unsinkable, but it did collide with an iceberg and it sank. Out of 2,224 passengers and crew members, 1,502 died in this tragic incident. So here are the features of this dataset. The dataset contains survival, which says 0 means they did not survive, 1 means the person survived. And there is a ticket class, which is P class, which is 1, 2, 3, first, second and third class, sex of the person, age of the person in years, and there is also number of siblings or spouses who are traveling along, plus number of parents or children traveling along, the fare of the tickets, and then port of embarkation. There are 3 spots from which you can embark onto this ship. And then you can see there is a repeat of this ticket class, which is basically the P class. Here it is in numbers, here it is first, second and third. And then it says who, whether it's a male or female. And then adult male, it says whether the person is an adult or not adult. And then you will see there is deck, which is between A to G, and then embark town, which is basically a repeat of embarked, which has 3 specific places. Alive, which is again repeat of survived, which is alive or not. Traveling alone, if someone traveled alone, it's said as true, otherwise it's given as false. So in this record, we have 891 records with 15 features. There are certain elements in this data which contains null values. Okay, we are going to leave it as it is for now. The age of the passengers vary from 0.4 to 80, and there are 107 records which are duplicates. We are not going to remove any of these duplicates because there might be a passenger who is of the same age as somebody else, male and whatever. They could be boarding the ship at the same spot. The name of the passengers is not given in this data set. So deck goes from A to G. Most passengers are in the deck B, C, D and E. So let's start to discuss about the data itself. So here is the histogram of the data. Of the age, you will see number of passengers who belong to 0 and 80 is the age range. It goes from 0 to 80, and most of the passengers are between 20 and 40 here. So you can see here from both of these graphs here. Following on, we also want to see the fare of the passengers. The fare of the ticket is mostly between 0 to 50, and certain fare is close to 500 as well. So you will find some fare which is higher. And then if you compare the sex with the fare, then you will find sex and the age here. So you will find here the male age is higher than that of the female. Okay, this is not fare, it should be age here. And then if you compare the age with the fare here, you will see for someone of age 40, the fare is high. Other than that, it is distributed below 300. And you can see the pricing varies between the ages. You will find some of them higher even for the children, and some of them lower for the higher ages, senior members and so on. So there could be some inconsistency in the fare given to us. And then if you look at the number of people who survived compared to the male or female in terms of sex, you will find the number of people who survived among female is more than number of people who survived among male. Both are similar charts, but they are represented differently as bar charts. Then if you go and look at people who traveled alone, how about their survival rate? You will find that the people who survived alone, who traveled alone, as well as who don't travel alone, they are almost similar. The number is similar. You can see here it is very similar, quite similar. Right? And if you look at among the total passengers, there are 61% passengers passed away, died, and 38% of them survived this tragedy. And then if you look at how do you compare those who are alive, those who traveled with number of parents or children along with them. So you will see those who are alive, most of them who are alive belongs to this range here, meaning they did not have the parents or sibling or children traveling along with them, right? And you can see the numbers. So there is one person who traveled with 6 of his parents, and then the person actually passed away here, right? So similarly, you can go into the next heat map. You can also see how things go on between the classes and the people who belong to the deck, right? So you can see here the class 1, first class, belongs to deck A, B and C, and all others are not here. None of the other classes, second and third class, belong to deck A, B and C. And if you group the ages between 0 to 12 as child, 13 to 18 as teen, 19 to 60 as adult, 61 to 100 as senior, then you can find some findings here. The fare of the female alone is more than that of the male, except for the children. So you can see male, and then you can see here this is the price, right, for someone who is alone, and here is the fare for a female who traveled alone. And you can compare this column with that of this column. Similarly, if you want to compare for the non-alone travelers, you compare this one with this one here. Moving on, if you combine the age group with the sex, then you can see here is a representation of the distribution of the data. Okay. So moving on further, you can see here number of children is 40 and 43 when you take the male and female into consideration. Then if you compare between those who are alive, those who are women, and you compare this set here, and you also consider the sex here, you will find for those who are alive, female adults are more than that of the male adults. So you can see here this is alive, female adults are more. Okay, by the color you can see. And for those who are dead, male adults are more than the female. And among children, female children survived more than the male children. So here it is female children, right, more than the male. And you can also see comparing the ticket fare itself. When you consider the age group, ticket fare is generally higher, right, for children here. For the children of male is higher than that of the children of the female. And ticket fare of a senior female is much wider. You can see the dispersion here with the line here, it's much wider here. And then if you compare between the survivors and their deck and the class, you will see most of the survivors belong to the first class. Okay, and among them, most of them belong to the deck B here. You can see the comparison here. Survivors of the first class is more than that of the non-survivors. So you will see there are more here than the non-survivors, but it is different in the other classes. And passengers of deck F and G are in the second as well as the third class. You can see here with the color notations here. Second class passengers have survived more than the third class. So you can see survival here is more than that of the third class. Embarkation points. There are 3 embarkation points we have seen. And Southampton has the highest number of people who embarked, and it also has the highest number of dead among those who traveled alone and those who traveled not alone. And survivors are mostly from female, from all the 3 embarkation points. So you can compare the color here. You can see the sex is male, female and so on. So this is the male part. This is the female one. This is for female. This is for the male. And only in Queenston alone, you can see alone passengers survived more than the non-alone passengers. Here is an insight using a heat map. So if you look at the heat map, there are positive correlation, there is negative correlation. So I'm just quickly going to give you the weak and the standard. There is nothing more than that. So you will see here, for example, here it is a minus 0.58. There's a relation between the number of siblings and those who travel alone is a negative correlated. And if you see a positive one, and if you see an example like this, the parents, number of parents with a sibling, that is also positively correlated, but with 0.41, which is considered to be a standard correlation. So in overall, we have seen the Titanic dataset, we have seen the analysis of them, and we have seen the visualization. Thank you for watching.